into a finishing technique. In judo competition, you cannot finish with too many serious types of neck locks. From here, I switch from a hold into a neck lock. Now I'd like to briefly cover some basic striking techniques that can be done against the throat. Knife hand. Now brief target assessment. Here's the half fist strike. Now notice this particular weapon is flat, so it is designed for attacking the throat area, unlike the fist, which is considerably thicker. So we're looking at a flat blade type weapon into the throat. Here's the tiger fist or the half fist with the palm up position. Very powerful. This can be done theoretically with your eyes closed or in the heat of battle by just assessing where the opponent's chest is and sliding up and striking into the throat area. Now we're looking at the metacarpals strike. Again, this is also a very effective strike that can also lead into a single hand choke. Here I'm going to either side of the trachea with the technique. Now changing to the inner knife hand. This is a pretty famous tournament technique in point tournament sparring to the head, but can be very effective to the throat. I would not recommend using the inner knife hand to strike the head unless it's perfectly set up. But to the throat it can be very effective. Here we're looking at both a spear hand strike and a pressure point type of technique. I struck directly at the trachea, or now I'm going in between the trachea and the carotid artery for pressure point there, or I can strike directly at the carotid artery. In this case, I'm using your standard spear hand strike, and then a slightly modified version straight in to the throat area. Again, these techniques are very dangerous. Only practice them at 50% speed here so that you do not slip and injure your opponent. This version right here I call a two-knuckle choke or thumb-knuckle choke. What I'm doing is creating a V type of weapon with my thumb and forefinger, which perfectly fits around the trachea. Now you can use this as a strike, or you can stabilize your opponent's neck by bringing your left hand around and then pressing inward. These sneaky type chokes that I'm showing here can be very effective for infighting in order to escape from holds rather than struggling and trying to find a counter or something. They can surprise your opponent very quickly because they put direct pressure on the trachea. For example, here, instead of going with some conventional escapes, I apply direct pressure with the thumb knuckle choke right against the trachea. Any of the other chokes may need a little bit of adjustment, but if I can land this thing on the trachea itself, it is very penetrating. Here, what I call the thumb knuckle choke, I use that whole area right below the middle knuckle of my thumb. From the rear, I can strike with this technique, or I can use it to neutralize my opponent as I get behind him. Notice here, as a striking technique, or if I bring my shoulder against the back of his head, I can use it as a choking technique against his windpipe.